Welcome to Futures Focus, talking all prospects all the time across all the levels of the game. Brought to you by Prospects 1500.
Welcome back. We are here on the 16th of May, coming to you with Shaun Kernahan again with us. We're going to get back today and talk about some college, some prep, draft. We're going to hit on several topics. Shaun's going to talk about some of the stuff he's got going on over there at 3/4 slot. So yeah, let's jump right in, Shaun. When you and I do this, you
Mhm.
for the listeners, you're no mystery to them. They know who you are. You've been on multiple times. I love having you on. The only negative to having you on is that I can never stay to an hour and whatever. We'll figure it out today, right? Because maybe that's a sign we need to do it more often. I don't know, but
Exactly, we gotta
uh,
do some more quick hits.
absolutely, but absolutely, Shaun. How are you doing? How's your Saturday going?
Going well, man, going well. It is that time of year. A lot of the high school, playoffs are in full force. We've got a few of the, D1 tournaments going.
Hmm.
Next weekend, the conference tournaments are all going full. We were talking beforehand. Next Saturday, the JUCO World Series kicks off. I think I
Yep.
saw 4 teams have already clinched their spots in Grand Junction. There is a lot going on in the baseball world. Oh, by the way, it's also the end of the school year and all that stuff, and the family is crazy busy, and not June's always a wonderful whirlwind of a time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. With my kind of like we were talking about off air with my wife being a teacher, this is grad party season for us, and I'm sure it's grad party season for a good majority of our listeners. It's a crazy time of year, but man, like we were talking, we're under 30 days away from College World Series.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot, and that College World Series and the regionals, super regionals, that's going to change a lot of what we talk about will probably be out of date in a month.
It might be
But
out of date next week.
very much so, very much so. When I was already looking at some of this stuff, one of the guys I'm going to ask you about later it became out of date just within a couple of days because of some changes and stuff. So, but anyway, Shaun, I hit on it earlier, and any of the listeners who listened to you before, know your site 3/4slot.com. For any of our listeners who have not been out there, and I'm going to plug it again, and we're going to talk about a couple of things. Um, it's a great site. If you follow Shaun on X, you're going to see that a lot of the stuff coming through there anyways. But man, it's a great site. There's so much contact and content in it. And if you have any interest in this year's draft, next year's draft, 2, 3 years draft away. The content is already rolling out there. But Shaun, one of the things that you dropped here recently, and maybe we can just kind of you can just kind of
Mhm.
talk about it a little bit. But was you've updated your top 500. Now I say you've
Yeah.
updated it, kind of like we talked about. Yes, it's recently redone. But if it's more than 2 weeks old, it's already out of date, right?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing over at my site, 3/4 slot, now I've got, there's 4 of us. I've got 3 contributors plus myself. So we have a bit of a consensus ranking. I will say here on Prospects 1500, I've already talked to Scotty. When we get to that, what I'm actually gonna drop is my personal top 100, draft list on
Nice,
Prospects 1500, and then we'll keep my consensus over at 3/4 slot.
nice.
So, there's some of that, like, our list isn't identical to my list, obviously. We've got that happens, and even then, it always happens every time I put out a list. I turn on a game the next day and I watch a player. I'm like, where did I have him? Oh, I had him. Just move up 5 spots. All right, I just published yesterday. I can't move him up now. It just never fails to be that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Yeah, I bet. And it seems like this time of year, a lot of the high school. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, it seems to me, 'cause I don't dive into this as much as you do by any stretch of the imagination. It seems like kind of by this time of year, the prep kids are kind of we think we pretty much know what they are. I mean, within reason, we kind of know who they are, and they're kind of I don't want to use the word locked in because they're going to move around, but it
Right.
seems like the most movement right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is in the college kids.
So for a
It
couple of reasons, it's gonna
right?
be there. Um, I looked at this recently, and I think I had the numbers right. I might be off a little bit. 2024, 87 drafted and signed high school players taken. Last year, I think it was 96 drafted and signed. So the number of high school players that actually draft and sign are, sub 100 in a,
Yeah,
20 round draft. So you're
right.
talking 600. I think there's 615 or some odd
Sure.
613 picks in the draft. You're gonna get obviously college heavy. So the high school players, it is the true elites of the elites that end up getting drafted and signed. And then, of course, in the NIL there's plenty of kids who are going to go to campus even if they were easily draftable and things like that. And then you end up with college college seniors, you know, whatnot. There's different things in that. So the college players move up. Plus, you have the regionals, the conference
Yeah.
tournaments, the College World Series,
Yep.
all those sorts of things. Even the first couple of weeks on the Cape, the MLB
Right.
draft league,
Mhm.
you got guys seeing that are going to be
Yeah.
seen.
Yep.
Chase Meyer, formerly at West Virginia, was removed from the team uh, after like one or two starts this year. He's gonna be pitching in the Cape Cod League this summer. He's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
get a couple of starts in. We haven't seen him since February. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, he could potentially move up. I don't know the exact details of why he was removed from the team, and that will obviously factor in with teams, but
Sure.
those sorts
Yeah.
of things will happen, and there's just gonna be more access to it. A lot of the high school kids, there's not a whole lot of summer. Some of them get out to the draft league and things like that, and you'll get some of those guys that end up getting picked. But for the most part, the high school guys are done, and like you said, a lot of that has already been seen, and it's time to really focus in and get last looks on the college guys. And since the vast majority of the picks are going to be college, you're going to go ahead and see them start really rising on boards.
Oh, for sure, and I think that's that'll kind of segue. This can segue perfectly into kind of the next thing I was wanting to ask you about, but Sean, there's a lot of content out there, right? And Baseball America, like we talked about off air. I listened to the Baseball America. They recently put out their 3.0 mock. I think they put it out Monday, I believe, if I'm from what I was looking at. And your update has been out soon. And there's content everywhere. Heck, you look on Twitter, you're gonna see players thrown out there and stuff. But there's a lot of different content out there, and kind of like we talked about, and Sean, I want you kind of to speak to this a little bit, but what are we looking at? Are we looking at upside? Are we looking at safe value? Again, like what you and I've talked about, we may look at it from a fantasy sports dynasty angle. Major League Baseball doesn't look at it like that.
Right.
They're looking at slot values. How much money do I have to spend? Can I sign here? Can I save some here? And then, kind of like what we talked about last year with the Braves draft and kind of what they did
Mhm.
with it and stuff. And so kind of talk about, your outlook, I guess you'd say, on some of the content that's out there. I mean, I know you do your own research, but for the listeners, kind of throw some advice out there, maybe.
And that's the thing is when you look at a list, and no two lists will ever be the same. If they were, they'd be
Mm-mm.
boring. But the approach, and when I do my list, I'm doing it, baseball, not dynasty necessarily. But
Sure.
of course, we talk on this, and after the draft, we talk about the fantasy impact of all the guys. When on my site, my stuff, it's going to be purely the baseball side of things. But even that has a bunch of different adjustment changes as far as what we look at. We have debates with me and my guys as far for different players because we see them differently. And one guy that and it's funny because some of these guys I I'm higher on the majority because I love their floor, and there's
Sure.
other guys I'm higher than than higher than the majority because I love their ceiling. I
Okay.
think Jacob Lombard is the number 2 player in this draft. I think that if there is any he might have the highest ceiling in this draft. A
Yeah.
higher ceiling than Rock Chalowski. Like, Chalowski is a safe, very good Major League Baseball future shortstop. Okay, if there is only one genuine superstar in this class, I'm betting on Jacob Lombard.
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
also bet if there's anybody taking the first 10 to 10 picks who never makes the big leagues, it's Jacob Lombard.
Yeah.
There is a high risk, high reward there. Grady Emerson is one of the better hit tools in the draft.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons he's probably most commonly seen as number 2 player in the draft.
Right.
A guy that I'm higher on than a lot is a Derek Curiel. Oh, there's no impact with the bat, and it does he's really a center fielder. I don't care. The dude hits. And
Sure.
if you look at the drafts in the past, all these people want to see the next superstar. If you get a 10-year big leaguer who is a, you know, sure, an 8-hole hitter or a fourth outfielder, but he's in the big leagues for a decade, you hit on your first round pick. I know we want to see the superstar, but there is a guys that you just need to hit. So that's just it's an approach of what are we doing in this draft? And if I'm gonna go Derek Curiel in round one, I'm gonna take the big swings on a Kevin Roberts Jr. the type later on in the draft, the
Yeah.
high upside guys. If I'm gonna get Jacob Lombard as my first pick, my next couple picks, if I'm a team, has got to be some of the safer college guys.
Sure.
It's about that mix and kind of where you fall, and that just that mix and the it's just how that all comes together. You got to get some risk, you got to get some safety, you got to get some arms, you got to get some guys up the middle. It's just all about that, and then trying to do a list. Sometimes it's just if I was sitting there in a vacuum between these 2 guys, who would I pick? My gut's telling me this guy right now, and that's step in front of it. It's just like you are in your, fantasy baseball draft. If you're
Oh, for
sitting there
sure.
like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, I could use steals, but I just like this guy."
Mhm.
That's the guy you're gonna take.
Yeah.
In certain aspects, it's very similar in that way, where I can break him down 100 different ways, but sometimes you just have to look at it and be like, "This is the guy I like in this spot." And for
Absolutely.
me, I just love the upside of a Lombard, but I love the floor of a Curiel. That is 2 completely different strategies, but at the same time, you gotta figure out where to fit those same guys
Yeah.
on a list.
Oh, for sure. And, like you said too, I mean, I talk all the time. I coached high school baseball and we preach to our guys all the time, our players all the time. It's the next level. So for them, it was college. For these guys, obviously, it's professional. The next level, they're looking at what can we do with this guy, right? So you talk about a guy that's got a phenomenal hit tool like that. Or, he's hitting the ball well with Curiel. Well, yeah, he might be light on impact now, but let's let the Orioles get a hold of him and get him in their system and see what they can do with him, or, or something like that. If it's an arm, let's get him in and maybe mess with the grip just a hair, or,
Mhm.
things like that. So they can mold some of these guys too. Like kind of like you said, if a guy can hit, they'll usually find a place for him. you know.
Absolutely.
Um, but no, that's and it's like you said too. When you go to looking at these lists, heck, if I look at the list, when did yours top 500? You did that what the end of
Late mid to late April.
yeah. So like you said, I mean, a week after you did it, you're probably already looking at it again, thinking, I would probably jockey this around here and there. So,
And I
uh,
what happens with me, I get, I put it out there and I get a scout, an agent, a player reaching out, be like, "Hey, my guy, he's going higher than you have him listed," or, "Hey, we don't have this guy as high." And I hear that, and I'm like, "All right, well, let me put that as a note for the next round, but this one's already out
sure,
there." And there's also some agents trying to get their guys pumped up, some teams trying to get guys moving down. I have a good sense on some of the guys who are gonna do me right and some who I need to, be a little more hesitant on, but that
yeah.
information comes through too.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what's really important for our listeners too. And again, most people have heard you before, but it's not like you're just pulling up Twitter or YouTube and watching these kids. You're talking to people who are in the know and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So when Sean's moving a guy up, especially as we get, I know we've had conversations last year around the draft, and you were saying, "Hey, I'm hearing some buzz," Well, that's not like I'm hearing it on Twitter. That's like, "Hey, I'm
Mhm.
hearing some buzz from some of my industry sources that this guy's moving up. Maybe an eye to watch." So that I think that'll be real fun. to kind of keep an eye on some of that stuff, and uh, as we get closer to draft time. Um, but another thing, Sean, that as we talk about draft, another thing you've got going on at the site, which it has been a blast for me to
I
tinker
love
with.
that I was able to get this thing put together. It was fun to try and it was a headache to get it all to go through all the iterations of it to get it to where it is now. But yeah, I know
Oh,
where you're going, and
I can only imagine, because it's fun to do, but man, there had to be a ton of work behind the scenes. But for the listeners, um, again, threequarterslot.com, Sean has got a mock draft simulator, and this thing is really cool. I heard him talking about it, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go check this thing out." It is a blast. You can go in, you can pick. I think what? Let me just look. I'm
1, 5, 10, or 20 rounds.
1, 5, 10, or 20 round draft. I'm gonna do a. We're gonna roll through one as we talk here, just so I can have some fun with it. But you go in, you can click your team, you can draft by a
And
team.
update as of this morning, as we're recording, you can now select multiple teams if you feel like having some fun and picking numerous teams.
Okay, there you go, there you go. And the draft will automatically. So like right now, I'm gonna pick the Cardinals because that's my team. And we're just gonna do a 5 draft because I don't wanna totally take my eyes off what I'm doing here, but, so I'm gonna do a 5-round draft, we're gonna do the Cardinals, and what's awesome is you get going through this. Oh, there it's rolling, draft's rolling already. Um, Number 1 pick, Rock Chalosky, shocker, right?
Mhm.
Grady Emerson went 2, Flora 3, Lackey 4, that's kinda going chalk so far.
Not fun by the board because we got Lombard 3, and I've
Lo
noticed in the simulator he falls usually the Pirates.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, I
Where'd he
was just
go?
gonna say, he just went to the Pirates at 5, Carson Bolamon, Royals at 6,
Mhm.
Gio Rojas, Orioles 7, Justin LeBron, Athletics 8, Drew Burris, Braves 9, Ace Reese, Rockies 10, Eric Booth Jr., who I've heard a lot of good things about lately, going
Moving
11
up.
to the Nationals, Cameron Flukie 12 to the Angels, and now it's my pick. And I'm not going to say who my pick is because we're going to talk about this player later, but I'm going to go ahead and pick him because this is who I want. This would be my dream for the Cardinals. I don't know. It's just for me,
And
but
I will let you guys know on this, I have done, I ran, I think it was like 5 drafts and to see if what trends there were,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
do
yeah.
have some team trends built into the auto selection, on the back end. There is some
Okay.
team trends that are factored in here.
Nice. Well, it's a blast for the listeners. You guys got to jump off and go over there and do it. It doesn't cost you a thing. You can say it doesn't cost you anything but time, and the auto pick is fast. I mean, it comes to
Mhm.
you. I mean, every
And
5 seconds
if you
that you're
really
picking.
wanna be impatient, you can just click "Send to my pick" and jump straight to your pick.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But it's a blast. It's really fun. People should go over and check that thing out. You can do a 1 round. You can do a 5 round. I did a. This is like I think my third time doing a 5 round draft. I did the Royal. I drafted as the
Mhm.
Royals once. Just to, to have some different slots and kind of see if it would change the output and stuff. I've even tried tricking the thing and picking a random weird player here and there, and it just kept rolling. It ignored me.
And look, the fact is I've got, I think, 850, 875 names in here with, 612, 615 picks if you go the full 20 rounds. Um, I will not have every player that gets selected in here.
It's
So
not
if you
possible.
notice,
Yeah.
if you're looking at it, on the bottom right of on the right-hand side, you'll end up
Yeah.
seeing the different names to choose from. Below that, there's a custom player option where you can go ahead and say, there's this JUCO player that I really like that is not on the list. You can go ahead and add them on there for those later rounds too.
Oh, fun, fun. Um, yeah. And what's really cool too, for the listeners, I'm looking at it right now. But as you're going through your picks, you got your column, the draft going on here, on the left, on the right. You can It's got the players you can pick. It's got their rank. I'm assuming that's your rank.
It's my rank.
Okay. So you've got your rank on there. And then you've got I mean, every player I'm scrolling, every player I see so far, you've got there's a little report. You can click on the report
Yep.
for them. And it's a quick synopsis. But I mean, it's cool too, because it's like I'm going through this and there's a name. I'm like, yeah, I think I know who that guy is. Click on the report. I can read about him a little bit. I'm like, yep, that's the one I want. I can click it and move on. So it's really cool, man. It's a
Yeah.
fun tool.
Of the 500 we have ranked, and I think I've got 350 or so with reports, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's a really cool tool. Something that
And
I
new ones
know.
added every day.
There you go.
New
There
reports
you go.
every day. There's my plug for the site. There's a new report dropped, at least one report dropped every single day. Also, take a look if you do the drop down where you can find the mock draft simulators on the draft tools. On there, you can also see the MLB draft guide. That will end up coming out the week before the draft. It will be 650 players, full page write ups, breakdowns for my full final 650 ranked. All right, there's my three-quarter slot plug. Let's go ahead and dive into our the meat of what we're doing today.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And so I'm going to keep my draft rolling here while we're talking, because so I'm going to go out of order when, talking about some of these players. But
Yeah.
so I've got some players I want to talk to you about. Some selfishly, and I reached out to some of our other
Mhm.
writers, and actually a friend of mine and then a league mate of mine sent me a message and have some questions. Want your expertise, Sean. So we're gonna have some
Let's
fun.
do it.
We're gonna have some fun as we go through here, and maybe I'll update my draft with some of these names here that we're gonna talk about. But um, all right, Sean, rapid fire, kind of, sort of ish. Okay, I'm gonna say
As
a name that.
rapid as we go.
There we go, there we go, and we'll just see where this takes us, right?
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna throw out a name that probably a lot of our listeners are not familiar with. I don't know, some of them maybe, but I'm gonna throw it out, and this is a selfish reason, and I'll get into it why. But Cameron Yearsley, he is a JUCO player
Mhm.
from I think it's John A. Logan College, I
It
believe.
is
Is that I think
indeed.
it's in Illinois, right, or is it Indiana?
Yeah, it's a Midwest. I believe it's
Right, right,
Illinois.
right, somewhere in the Midwest. Well, so you if I remember correctly, I think it was you that posted some of his stats, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and they were compared side by side with Bryce Harper's 2010 Golden Spikes campaign when he was a junior college kid, and it's like they were neck and neck. Like
Mhm.
the numbers were like neck and neck. The reason I want to ask about Cameron Yearsley, and this is selfishly, he's committed to play at Missouri State. Okay, Missouri State's in the town that I live in. Am I going to get to see him on campus? Am I going to get to see him play a game live next year, or is he going to bypass that and go high enough in the draft? What do you think about him generally?
So, if I looked recently, I believe they lost to Wabash Valley. So Wabash Valley's headed to the JUCO World Series. John A. Logan is, if I'm not mistaken, their season is done. So his season's done. No more getting in front of scouts in that respect.
Sure.
That said, John A. Logan does go down to Panama City Beach every year to start off the season. The City Beach Classic. It is before high school, before uh, any other college gets going, and it is absolutely flooded with scouts and things like that. Cameron Yearsley was down there. He had 3 home runs on opening day. He's got a little toe tap load. There is real strength, real bat speed, loft in the swing, and
Mhm.
it's showing with the crazy home run numbers he has this year. Obviously, the power is current. Um, Missouri State, maybe. It will. I don't believe I end up ranking him, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't make my 500. Uh, After this, we'll talk about somebody else who I think, if you
Yeah.
put their numbers side by side, Yearsley's not even the best college JUCO bat in the country, from a pure number standpoint. There's obviously going to be some love on the draft side of things. He's an outfielder, not the fleetest of foot,
Yeah, that's what I
and
was seeing.
I do think that his he's tied to the bat, but you can't argue with, let's see here. You got a 464 average, 37 home runs, and 99 RBI. You can't argue with that. That's pretty darn good. But yeah, I think there's a chance. I mean, you've got Missouri State tends to get some guys in there every year.
Yeah.
So that'll be one that I think you'll be on the edge of your seat throughout both days of the draft, since it's only 2 days this year. Both days of the draft, that's one you have to be keeping an eye on, maybe even all the way up to August 1st, waiting to see what the signings go.
Yeah. 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 It'd be interesting. I saw that post that you had tweeted, and so I kind of followed him, and then I saw, it's funny how you see a name and then all of a sudden you
Mhm.
remember it. I saw that he had at some point he had committed to play at Missouri State, and I said, "Oh, cool! It's going to be awesome to see this guy." But he does look a little limited defensively, maybe I'll say.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that may make him hopefully fall down a little bit more, and he'll decide, nah, I'm going to go at Missouri State, play higher competition, and see if I can improve my draft stock. That's what I'm hoping for because I want to see him live next year just for the fun of it and see if that powers for real. Because anybody who's ever been out to a Missouri State game knows that that ballpark balls just fly out of there. So I can't wait to potentially see him. But all right, before I get to the next name, you talked about it. Let's
Yep.
stick in the JUCO world. Sean, pump your guy right here.
So you got Holden Pintier. Um, he is a third baseman at Walter State, high school shortstop. Actually, coming here out of Colorado. He, I, he's at Walter State. They're heading back to Grand Junction for the JUCO World Series for the second year in a row.
Oh,
I
fun.
didn't love what I saw from him defensively last year there, so I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that here in this next week or so. But when we just talked about usually's numbers. Um, Holden Pintier is at 483 on the batting average, 29 home runs, 122 driven in, 98 runs. He's got 16 steals. I think Yearsley was at 15 steals. Uh, both guys are more home runs than walks. I think it was Yearsley was at 30 strikeouts. I'm sorry, more home runs than strikeouts. Yearsley was at I think 30 strikeouts on the year. Holden is right around 24, something like that. Again, and plenty of love coming his way. He committed to Georgia Tech. So he's got
Okay.
options there as well. So it just some ridiculous numbers. I turned an agent on. I was talking to him about this guy, and he reaches out to me. He's like, "Those are video game numbers. This is just stupid." And yeah, these are video game numbers that are just stupid. And I think both of them, if you put them next to Bryce Harper's Golden Spikes a year, you could
Yeah.
absolutely make a case for him.
Yeah. So make sure I heard you right. You said 122 RBIs. How many games? How many games has he played?
63.
It's two a game. I mean, that's golly. That's insane. Yeah, you mentioned him to me when we were talking a little bit off air. I said I was gonna try to throw a curveball at you with the JUCO player, and you said, "No, I'm gonna hit your curveball
I'll one up you.
and yeah, and one up me here, right?" Um, all right, so let's jump in. And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'll get to some of the other names, but so and perfect segues. Sort of. One of our other writers wanted me to ask you about this player. I had already decided I wanted to ask you about this player because I I watched him in one game. It's just kind of a fun player to watch. I just kind of followed him a little bit, but going through my mock draft on
Did you get him?
threequarterslot.com, by the way, I just picked him at pick number 13, drafting as the St. Louis Cardinals. So my question is to you, Sean, is it realistic that Sawyer Strassnyder, outfielder from TCU, is it realistic? Will he be there at 13 for the Cardinals? I know it's so hard to tell because there's slot values, there's all
Mhm.
this stuff to factor in, but can I dream that he'll be there at 13? Because some of the places I'm seeing him go 10, I'm seeing him go top 10. I've seen him as low as 15. I think it just and TCU, they could make a run here. He could get more
Mhm.
eyeballs on him, so that could improve his draft stock. What do you see about what do you see in him? Is he? I mean, he looks legit, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've had guys tell me that he potentially the number 3 college player off the board,
Okay. Oh, wow.
after Chalowski and Von Lackey.
Okay. So
The number 3 college guy, there's plenty of debate there. I've heard that, and if you go with that route, we're talking as high as 4 to the Giants.
yeah. So
Um I've heard as low as uh, hitting the 20s, has not been it's been a while since the 20s have been realistic. I think he probably locks in that late top 10. So you sitting there at 13 with the cards, it's fringy. On my site, we've got him ranked at 14.
Mhm. Right.
Right now, if we were to redo it, I think he moves ahead of AJ Gracia. He moves ahead of somebody who I've got 6 that we're going to talk about in a minute that
Yep.
I think is tumbling.
Mhm.
So there's some movement. Drew Burris is a big question. You know, Snyder is a more traditional frame. He's 6'2", 200. Burris
Right.
is not.
Right.
So I still love Burris's game. I rank Burris higher, but I think the vast majority of people have Snyder higher. So I think that he's more of a top 10. He's closer to a top 10 lock than being outside of the top 10. If we were to, as I were to redo this list right now, I think Snyder, it's in the top 10, and I think it's pretty firmly in the top 10 right now, but I would not also be shocked if he slides down. But again, he has a nice tournament. We could see him top 5.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Again, like, kinda like what we talked about, a lot of that's gonna a lot of the there's a lot to be yet determined for some of
Yep.
these college guys. Um, and let's see, I don't is Strasser is he's a junior? Am I right on that?
I believe he's a draft eligible
After you know
sophomore.
he's a sophomore,
Yep, he's a
so,
draft
I
eligible
mean,
sophomore.
yeah, so I guess he could technically for
And but the
go
thing
back for
is if you
but
look at the history, the draft eligible sophomores who are high
yeah, 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 mhm.
ranked, who come back to school, I cannot tell you off the top of my head a single name that it has worked out for. For the most
R
part, if you're a
right.
draft eligible sophomore and you're gonna be talking in that first
Yep,
round or 2,
right.
sign,
Correct.
because it has
Yep.
not gone well for the vast majority of them.
Right, right. That was gonna be my next question because I couldn't think of that, and I'm glad you said that. I couldn't think of the last time that a draft eligible sophomore went back and it was like, "Oh, that was a great decision." It seems like,
Yeah, if
you
you're
know
talking day 1 type of draft pick,
exactly.
sign,
If your
because
stock's
for
high, you got
whatever
nowhere to go
reason.
but down, right?
Yep,
Yeah. All right, so there's Mr. Strafsnyder. So since you kinda segued it,
yeah,
I'll go into somebody that I think you guys have him at 6, I believe, in your consensus
we
rankings.
did, yeah.
And again, those consensus rankings are now 2 weeks old, so
Yep, he
not
is sliding.
not throwing shade or anything. It is what it is. Like so the player I want to talk about, Justin LeBron, shortstop from Bama. Okay, so on talent and tools alone, he belongs up in that top 10. Correct. I mean, right? I mean, he's tooled up.
Mhm.
What he's done in the past puts him in the top 10. Correct. Okay,
If you were to take his non-SEC games, he would be in
and
the
there we
on
go.
the fringe of number 1 overall.
And there we go.
Um,
Yep.
he Justin LeBron, for whatever reason, as soon as he gets into SEC play, and it's not even to say that the best arms in the SEC, just for whatever reason, his
Yep.
SEC numbers take a massive step down.
Yep.
It was a huge thing last year. If you were to talk in the middle of March, last year, talking about the 2026 draft. It was Justin LeBron who was being talked about as the number
Yep.
1 pick, not
Yep.
Brock Chalowski.
Yep.
And then he
I
went into
remember.
SEC. Chalowski stayed hot. LeBron his just absolutely tainted his stats. And again, we're talking stats that he's still a solid baseball player. I mean, let
Oh
me
yeah.
see if I can pull this up real quick and see what I don't think I have the total numbers. You know, he's hitting actually he's down to 261. Wow. You know what? And here we go. I can actually look at it. If as of let's see here, that one right there. I mean, it was yeah, late March. He was still over 300, and it's just been going down and down and down and down and down. But the other thing is Justin LeBron, tools wise, is a very good shortstop.
Yes.
For whatever reason, he has had 17 errors this year. He's got a fielding percentage of 929.
Hmm.
He has not had the greatest year defensively, and it's not just the errors. It's just he's not as sharp as as we've seen him, and why I don't know. It's just he something has happened in SEC play back to back years. The defense isn't shining quite as well. I mean, I've had people say, "Is he even a first round pick anymore?" Yeah, the tools, he's absolutely a first round pick, but my goodness, it's just for whatever reason, his ability to hold through the SEC schedule is just not there. And that defense, which again, incredible athlete, his defense is just not holding up the way you expect it to.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. Uh, being in the heart of being a Razorbacks fan, which I'm ashamed to say that right now. Um, I watch a lot of SEC baseball. I watch a ton of it because to me, I've heard a lot of people say, I don't even talk to guys who, play at that level and then have gone on to play in the minor leagues, say, the weekend starters are kind of double A level pitching, quality on those weekend starters. And so, it's interesting to see those guys against it. And you're right. That's when I have seen, because I remember hearing Justin LeBron's name last year, and him and Rock, like you said, it was like neck and neck 1-2. And so I really started paying a lot of attention this year. And probably seen 4 games, and he's just not stood out to me. I look at him like, man, you can tell this guy's got something. He's a good baseball player. Don't get me wrong, but if there's something lacking there, that spark just doesn't seem there or something. I don't know. Uh, but yeah. If you had to guess, okay, so let's say, so you've got him at 6. Let's say 10. We're gonna say 10. Do you
Mhm.
think he is closer to number 10 or number 30 pick?
10 or 30, I think he's closer to 10. If you're telling me 10 or 20, then I start to hesitate. I think he's gonna end up
Okay,
falling more in that mid-teen range as right now. If I were to re-update it right now, he'd probably fall in that mid-teens.
okay.
Um, heck, just flop Strauss-Snyder and LeBron. Put LeBron at, what do I have him at, 14 for Strauss-Snyder?
14, yes, sir.
Put him at 14 and
Okay,
put Strauss-Snyder at 6. That actually would feel better right now if I'm looking at the rank.
okay. Makes sense, makes sense. So it's not like, he's still legit talent. I would really like to see him fall in the right developmental organization, because I think,
Mhm.
like I said, the tools are definitely there. He's a heck of an athlete. I mean, you can just see him on the base pass. He's fun to watch run. He's just an athlete. He's a dude. I just would love to see that production be up there a little bit more. But okay, I talked earlier kind of about some of the helium. Let's call it the
Yeah.
helium players. And this guy is just a name who has just been in my face for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I've seen him all over Twitter. Of course, there's a reason why all of a sudden, this guy's out there when you're what, 6'7", 6'9", something in that range,
6'9".
lefty, touching 101 now, and I think he came
Mhm.
in mid 90s. Now he's touching 101. And who we're talking about, Bodie Bamilla, a left-handed
Yep.
high school lefty, Massachusetts, I think Massachusetts, I believe, high school.
He
I don't
is. Yep.
remember. I don't
Bishop
remember the.
Fian.
There you go. There you go. So he's a hot name right now, and the videos are sickening. You have to remember that. Hey, trust me, I coached high school baseball, and if if we were facing a kid throwing 101 miles per hour from the left-handed side, we would look. I mean, yes, the swings are going to look stupid. So keep that in context. The video can lie a little bit. I did just see. I don't remember, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 20 strikeout, complete game, no hitter.
Yeah, 21, 20 of the 21 outs via the strikeout, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane, right? So, um, again, I kind of mentioned that. I was looking at the BA
Mhm.
mock draft 3.0. They've got him in the first round now. I think they had him at 21, maybe, going to the Padres, which, side note, seems like such a Padres pick, right?
It's
Like,
such a Padres pick.
I mean, it's like that's a Padres pick. I mean, it just makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Take that high upside, swing for the fences type pick. But there's risk involved, right? I mean,
Mhm.
yes, he's a high school lefty, so there's automatically some risk, but correct me if I'm wrong, he's already had internal brace surgery.
Yes.
on his throwing elbow.
and missed most of last year, actually.
Correct. So you're starting to add even more risk, and the reason I bring
Mhm.
that up is because, hey, you don't that size and that octane does not come around very often, but it doesn't come without its risk. I noticed when while we were talking, I was scrolling through you guys on your consensus rankings. Again, it's been before
And
a
this was
lot of this
before he
helium
hit
stuff.
100. This was before he hit 100.
Exactly, exactly. So, you guys had him in the 60s, I believe, but again,
63.
there's so much helium now. Um, what do you think? Do you realistically see him going 21? I even saw somebody talking about him as a potential top 15 to 10 pick.
I've seen people move him to the number 1 left-handed pitcher in the, class. I do not agree with that at all. If you wanna say, in that Logan Schmidt, Jared Gridlinger, we've got a 20 and 24 high school lefties, he wants to be in that range, I can absolutely say, "Sure," let's have that argument. I do not think he's on the level of Bolamon or Gio Rojas, but if you wanna talk Logan Schmidt and Jared Gridlinger, absolutely. That's a debate worth having. The internal brace surgery and just elbow surgeries in general have gotten better. We know that.
Yeah,
There's
sure,
not been enough, there just it hasn't been enough. The internal brace hasn't been around long enough to truly know what that's going to be long term.
sure.
And the earlier you have elbow surgery, the higher risk you have moving forward.
Bingo.
That's
Yeah,
just how it has been.
correct.
I'm not saying Bamilla is not going to be healthy and successful moving forward. Um, It's just you're right, it's something worth raising an eyebrow at, and, if you're throwing 101 miles an hour, that takes a toll. But we saw last year, before last year, there was not a single left-handed pitcher in the high school lefty on record hitting triple digits. Last year, Jack Bauer went up to 102. He's at Mississippi State right now. Bumilla up to, 101. Bumilla is massive. I actually like Bauer's a whole better. I liked his stuff. Both of them from cold weather states.
Uh-huh.
Bauer from Illinois, Bimila from Massachusetts. I liked Bauer's secondary stuff better. I thought that his feel for spin was excellent. Here it is. He missed a full year. Bamilla, it was UCL suffered in July 2024. So he missed this 2024 summer and really just started coming back. It's the thing I do like is that changeup is potential plus pitch.
Yeah, it looks nasty.
Yeah. And tune into three-quarter slot on May the 25th because Bamilla's next start is on Monday the 18th, and I have one of my scouts that will be at that game. So I will
Oh,
have some new
nice.
live video and a new live report coming from my guy Sam, who will
Oh, I'm
be at that matchup here coming up on Monday.
Oh, I'm gonna look forward to that because I can't wait to hear your guys to hear your guys' live take on that. Some of the video I saw, especially of that 20 strikeout game, again, man, a lot of that changeup looked nasty. His
Mhm.
breaking stuff, I don't know, man. The secondaries
It's not
didn't
there
looks
yet.
like
It's not there
it,
yet.
no, and he can't command them yet. A lot of that stuff was, I mean, some of those strikeouts, those pitches were way outside the zone.
Mhm.
College guys, especially minor league guys, they're gonna watch that go by. They're
Yeah.
not chasing that stuff. Um, I'd really like to see how he does, against some of that upper level competition when that stuff has to come in the zone to get somebody out. But I mean, hey, man,
But he's still a 6'9" lefty throwing 101.
bingo, bingo, absolutely, absolutely. And again, if it is 21 to the Padres, that is just such a Padres pick. So. All right. Well, while we're talking about pitching, let's go ahead and get to the player that I took with my second pick on the draft simulator with the Cardinals, which uh, is their competitive balance round. So
Mhm.
it'd be pick number 32 overall. But I took him because number one, I've seen him a couple times. I like him, and he has had some helium until about a week ago, or just recently this week, that helium may be starting to have some concerns to it. But that's we've talked about Rock Chalosky being easily the number one pick, or easily the number one pick. I'm gonna throw out a teammate of his,
Mhm.
Logan Redeman, right-handed pitcher. There's their ace, I believe. They're at UCLA.
Yep.
Um, I mean, playing with Rock has helped. I can't help can't hurt to get
Mhm.
that many
That
more
defense.
eyes on him. But his stuff has backed it up this year. I mean, he's 84 strikeouts and 59.2 innings. I mean, it's great stuff. Playing against good competition. I mean, UCLA plays in a pretty dang good baseball conference, so it's not like he's out there in the JUCO ranks doing
Mhm.
that. Um, I've seen some that were ranking him even as potentially the number 3 college arm at some point. I know, Sean, you probably don't see him as the number 3 college arm. Maybe you do, but now, of course, he's been shut down with some arm fatigue, and so hopefully that's just UCLA playing it safe because their their ticket is punched. They're going to be hosting a regional. They're the number 1 team. Like they're going on. So rest him, get him healthy. But man, I can't like seeing. I can't. You hate seeing arm fatigue for a guy that's getting ready to roll up close to draft time. So number 1, what do you think about Logan Redeman? And again, how much? It's probably hard to say how much concern is there with the arm fatigue. I guess time will tell on that. But
Yeah, I'll go backwards on that one and go the fatigue first. Just there's not enough information out there right now to really know. If you really talk about it, I mean, UCLA, you're talking about not hosting a regional. Um, I'm pretty sure they can lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament and still get the number 1 seed overall.
oh
Like, that's
yeah,
just where
yeah,
they are.
yeah. The body of
So,
work's too strong.
why bother rolling them out there? Give them some rest.
Yeah,
It makes plenty of sense because he has been the ace, and you're gonna need him in the tournament. So let's just talk about this, assuming that he is healthy.
sure, okay, yeah,
L- Logan Redeman is a University of San Diego transfer. Came up from University of San Diego, where he was a two-way guy, pitcher and
okay,
outfielder. This is
okay,
his first year as a pure pitcher.
okay. So I'm
He
liking this.
was he came in sitting 92, 95. I've seen him all the way up to 99. He's got a
Okay,
sharp slider, a diving changeup, a curveball, a cutter, some of the best command, possibly the best command tool in the entire draft. Um, we talked earlier about that floor ceilings thing.
mm-hmm.
I think that his floor, because he has such excellent command, a true plus strike thrower with commands of 5 pitches, the fastball, even if it was still at 95, but I've seen it up to 99, is a mix that is really good. The cutter, it's not a big pitch,
Mhm.
it's super effective, though. It's just one of those
Yeah,
short and just misses the heart of the bat. I actually think it plays better, with wood bats. I think that's gonna only be
yep,
better there.
yep.
There's life on the fastball. It's a high slot, downhill. It's just I could see him I could see him be the 3rd college pitcher off the board. Cameron I'm sorry, not Cameron Flukie. Um Jackson Flora is the number 1 college arm,
Sure,
and then
pretty
there's everyone
easily.
else. And
Yeah,
in that everyone else, we're talking about Logan Redeman. Cameron Flukie, Liam Peterson, who talk about a guy who's been up and down. Um, let's see here.
yeah,
Then we go to Tegan Coombs, Gabe Gackle. At the time of this, the Mason Edwards was at the height of his season, and then Logan Redeman. I can make an argument that he's the number 2 college pitcher. And
okay,
again, it's gonna be one of those floor. If this is one of those guys, if you take Logan Redeman, you can take a flyer on a high school guy a round or 2 later because 'cause you've got a safe pick there. He's not going to be your future ace. He's gonna be a very strong mid-rotation guy.
mhm,
And before you say, "I'm not gonna waste a top 10 pick on a mid-rotation guy," if you end up getting a number 3 starter on a, future playoff MLB team, you're not gonna complain about spending a top 10 pick on that. You
correct.
just won't, and people need to go ahead and reel in some of their expectations there. A big league contributor is valuable, and I know we
Uh,
want our top 10 picks, our first round picks to be future all-stars. They can't all be future all-stars, but if you get a guy like this who is going to be a big league contributor, barring a ton of things going wrong, I'm okay with him being taken at almost any pick.
Yeah, it's interesting. While you're talking about that, I was looking over to see because again, I told you I picked him at pick 32. I don't think there's any way. I don't think there's
No,
any way
he's not
he'll
going to at
last
that point.
if he's healthy. There's no way he lasts. But man, it sure looks like to me right there around pick 12. I see the Los Angeles Angels. That seems like a pick of theirs. That's a guy that could move fast and get up to the major leagues somewhat quickly. That seems like such an Angels pick, but yeah, so we're gonna pray for health there because
Yep.
he's a fun arm to watch. Um, okay, so had a league mate of mine, and a good friend of mine actually. I co-commission a long 15-year now a dynasty league with him. Um, he's a Texas Tech grad. Good old Joe came from Texas Tech, and so he wanted me to ask you about a Texas Tech player, and that's Logan Hughes, an outfielder, again from Texas Tech. So his specific question, and you can take this however you want to, but his question to me was, it's too early to for the. He's also a Texas Rangers fan. He grew up in Texas, so he went to Texas Tech. He's a Texas Rangers fan, so he wants to see Logan Hughes come to Texas, join Josh Young, play there. Okay. It's pick 16. He said, okay, he said probably way too early. He's like most draft boards he sees pick 16 way too early to go Logan Hughes.
Mhm.
Do you think they can wait until their second round pick? And as I was looking it up, or if that's pick 54, uh, I don't think he's going to
That makes
last
it
that long.
tough.
Yeah, I don't think he's lasting that long. So I don't. Maybe I can answer Joe's question and say I don't think the Rangers are getting him. But what do you say, Sean? You take that however you want to.
I know, I don't think the Rangers are getting them. Um, now, the thing with Hughes, my question with him, I should say, is he a long-term outfielder? Right now, he's obviously an outfielder. I think, yeah, I think he can probably stick out there. I do think there's a risk that he ends up at first base, and I think that is kind of what hurts his value.
Yeah, that
Um,
could.
again, when we've talked about it, when this is already a few weeks old, so therefore it is outdated. I have him at 68 on here. I if he falls to them in their second pick, absolutely, you can take him. And I don't think it's impossible he gets there. He came on out of Stetson. He's had a good year at Texas Tech.
Hmm.
He barrels it up a ton.
Yeah, he does.
Um, he's got a good approach at the plate. He's knows how to barrel it up because of his approach. He's selective at the plate, but I'm not 100% sold that he's a outfielder. I think this year he's done a good enough job to show that he is there, but I think that the he will never be if he's an outfielder, he's left field only, which is, the outfield version of first base. It's just
Yeah,
one of those
right.
where it's got to be the bat, and I don't know that the overall bat is that elite level that you need to overcome the defensive limitations, and that could see him fall to the Rangers at
Sure.
their
Yeah,
second
yeah,
pick.
yeah.
That
Right.
is that is the type of thing that would do it, is you could easily fall in love with the profile and the tools. Again, tools versus track record and things like that. I could absolutely see him being a guy who slides and ends up being like, "Hey, how'd this guy slide to this long?" But I definitely don't think he's a guarantee to be, early first 2 rounds. I wouldn't bat an eye if he was taken late first round. I wouldn't be shocked if he's sitting there top of round 3 either.
Well, and like you said, that's why context matters. The defensive limitations really could. I mean, there's every major league organization has 9 Shaun Kernahans working for them, right? So, who are out seeing these guys, their expertise, they're gonna be able to tell them, "Yeah, this guy can play outfielder. No, man, it looks like he's defensively limited. He may be at first base." And so, like you said, I mean, looking at him, I was assuming outfield, so that's where that intel of him potentially not being able to stick
And
out there may
and
change
trust
things.
me, everything's gonna be listed him as an outfielder. have heard enough questions, and this year has helped limit those questions. Coming into the year, there were a lot more, "Is he really an outfielder? Is a first base the future?" Now it's more, "Yeah, I think he's a left fielder," but that doesn't mean those questions don't exist.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and his back can play in left field as long as he can play passable left field, hopefully. Well, that's pretty much most of the that's pretty much most of the names I had. I wanted is something I was as I was scrolling through our feed, I just saw. I think today, yeah, it happened today. Daniel Jackson, uh, it says, well, let's see. It says MLB.com's number 55 draft prospect. I'm not sure where you have him at. I haven't looked that up yet, but becomes just the sixth player in NCAA history and the second D1 player in the last 20 years to record a 25-25 season. And
And he's a catcher.
he must have just done that today. So that's pretty impressive for Mr. Daniel Jackson. You don't see many 25-25s in college. So
That you don't, and I think that he potentially we had him back in like low 100s, 115, 116. Another one of those guys who has raised his stock in a
yeah,
number of weeks, um, in large part because he's showing, just that overall athleticism has shown behind the plate too. There was some,
yeah,
is he gonna be a long-term, catcher? And even if he doesn't, this is where, uh, this profile, if he ends up in left field, he has the athleticism to be in left
yes,
field, but he
correct.
kinda fallback of a catcher, that's a positive, whereas we were just talking about Logan Hughes, if he's left fielder first and a potential fallback to first base, that's a negative. Where here, Daniel Jackson, if it's like, yeah, I think he sticks at catcher, but if he falls out of catcher, he's in the outfield and, power speed blend, that plays.
Yeah,
So we're talking about a guy who's a catcher now, who could fill left field, first base. Okay, that's a different kind of flexibility than the other version of Logan Hughes, left field to first base. And again, that just drives different value. And there was questions before about his ability to stick behind the plate, but now because he's showing such athleticism out there on the bases, in the field, in multiple positions, that is improving Daniel Jackson's value significantly
yeah.
because he now all of a sudden left field and first base are options in addition to catcher. Again, all the weird little nuances of trying to evaluate and figure it out and why these lists are always moving.
Right. Yeah, just hearing you describe him, and I'm not trying to comp it too much because I don't love comps because everybody's their own player. But oh, I'm drawing a blank. The guy that the Baltimore drafted last year that was the catcher. There was questions about where he's got
Hayden Bonine?
Ike Irish.
Ike Irish, yeah.
Kind of sounds very similar profile. Yeah, he can play catcher, but the fallback is an outfielder. He probably doesn't have the hit tool that Ike Irish does, maybe, but
Yeah,
it kinda
but I
sounds
mean,
like he's in that mold of athlete, though.
exactly, and that's the thing, and he's better on his feet and things like that. I think he's a better athlete than Ike Irish. He doesn't quite have the arm of Ike Irish, which is why Irish is right field, and you're talking about Daniel Jackson
Sure.
in left field.
Right.
But the versatility here is a positive, and you mentioned the comps, and I'm going to go ahead and go into story time for a moment.
Go for it, man.
Uh, and you will very rarely see me put comps on players, and
Yeah.
there's a reason for that. If you see a comp on a player, it is this visually reminds me of so and so. That's what I do. I
Okay.
don't say this player reminds me of so and so. Omar Cerna at LSU, his bat, his swing, his power, it screams Gary Sanchez. I'm not saying his future is Gary Sanchez. It's just you can't help but think Gary Sanchez when you watch it. One of the weirder ones you had recently was Ryan Johnson coming out of Dallas Baptist now with the Angels. I was
Uh-huh.
like, this dude's delivery is a throwback to Walter Johnson. I don't know what the
Yep.
heck it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and but I will never say this player is a, poor man so and so, or the
Right.
game is modeled after so, maybe modeled after, but the game is comparable to so and so. And the reason I will never do that is I was actually years ago I was in the running. I was in um, consideration for an area scout for a really good team, and it was really good in the draft side of things.
Uh-huh.
And The director of amateur scouting pulled me aside and he said, "Look, you rely on comps. If you put a comp out there, it has to be 100% positive in that comp. Otherwise, all you're doing is limiting yourself. And the reason we're passing on you is we need you to do a better job of putting together evaluations without comps. And that is why you will not have me see me put out there, this player is the next so and so. It's more this piece of the game reminds me of so and so. And I try to avoid comps at all costs because of that. I literally lost a scouting gig because I relied on comps too much.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. I I I I I agree with you. I don't love comps from the simple standpoint of it's unfair to the guy,
Hmm.
right? So if you're comping somebody to a player, then you're basically saying if they don't get to that level, if they fall short of that, then it was a failure. That's I don't think that's the true
Right.
heart of what a comp is. We're just trying to paint you a visual. That's
Hmm.
why I love what you said, like when you were comparing the LSU bat to Gary Sheffield.
Gary
That gives
Sanchez.
me a visual in my head of what that looks like.
Right.
Ryan Johnson to Walter John, it gives me a visual in my head
Yes.
of something to look at. You're not saying the players are the same, but you're giving me a visual of what that. I mean, if you say Gary Sheffield, everybody who's followed baseball at all knows that Gary Sheffield bat rap. I mean, we know what that is, right? Um, so no, yeah, I'm 100% with you on comps, and I'm going to tell you right now that thank you to whoever that was that didn't give you that position because we are getting to benefit from all that knowledge. So thank you, thank you for passing on that because I'm sure glad we get to use you, but. Uh, Anyways, yep. So, unless I do some really tricky editing, we're going to come in at just a hair over an hour. But Sean, I want to kick it back to you before we're done. I know we've talked off air, and I was looking kind of as we were going here, where we've got on the site. We're talking mock draft stuff. That could be really cool. And I'm gonna again, Sean. You and I have talked again about coming on, having you back on, and talking around College World Series time, so we can talk some College World Series, and
Absolutely.
then again, we'll do. If you're up for it, we'll do a big draft breakdown, kind of like what we did a couple episode
Oh,
or draft
absolutely.
breakdown once the teams actually make their picks, kind of like we did last year, because those were two phenomenal episodes. But
And
but
don't
anyways,
forget that I'm getting messages actually during this recording,
yeah.
working out some of the details. We will be doing a mock draft with a handful of the riders here at Prospects
Yep.
1500.
Yep.
Goal is to get that out before the 1st of June. So we'll see what we can get that pulled off. So keep an eye out for that. And then I'm sure we'll come on here and I'll tell you why you were wrong and why I was right.
Well, that's not gonna be too hard. You'll win that battle 99 times out of 100. Every the blind squirrel finds a net every once in a while, so I might get lucky, um, but hey, so I think something fun for the listeners, okay? And Sean, I'm totally putting you on the spot, and I'm
Hmm.
sorry if I'm sorry for this. Um, but I'm gonna do it anyways, so sorry.
Let's go.
Alright, so when you do your draft, and I just finished mine, so
Yep.
I'm not gonna read through all my 5 round picks. All 5 picks. But
Go ahead and share it at the bottom. Yep. Okay.
there's
Go
a
ahead.
spot down at the bottom where you can share it, okay?
Hmm.
So, if you're a listener, you jump on and you do and you do a little mock draft. Try not to do, don't post your 20 round. I guess you can post your 20 round, but post it, share it with us. And this is where I'm putting you on the spot, Sean. Maybe Sean can give you some comments for some of the listeners if you can. So
Yeah.
when this episode releases, I'll share mine kind of in the comments,
Perfect.
and some of the other listeners can jump in, and Sean, you can comment on some of the listeners uh, mock drafts
Tell you what,
using your
I
tool.
I'll comment as many as I can, but I will do a full grade on the first 10 that come through.
There you go. That boy, you can't beat that. So let's yep. I'm glad you said that. I didn't. He will comment on as many as he can, but like you said, the first 10, he's going to give you a
Full
wrap
grade.
on him. So, all right, Sean, man, it's been a blast. Uh, Always fun to have you on. I feel like we cut it short, but then I look at the clock and it's not short. But what can
I know.
you do?
Scott likes to keep us inside of an hour. I'm like, yeah, this is quick. We just did a handful of guys. Oh, well, there we are over an hour somehow.
There's just too much to talk about. Anyways, well, Shaun, let's before we sign off, anything you want to leave the listeners with, but if not, we'll go ahead and move on.
Yeah, again, Shaun Kernahan at all the socials for me.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
I'll be tagged in this episode. 3/4 slot spelled out on X. It's the number three and then quarter slot. Uh, Check out that draft guide. It's $20 right now. 1st of June, it is actually going to go up to $30. So it's currently at a an early bird special. Again, that comes out. I think I've got it July 5th is the day I expect it to hit your email. 650 full reports by full 650. So you'll be the first to get the 650 ranking and a full report on all 650 as well. Fresh reports on all of them from all four of us here over at 3/4 slot. And then, of course, like I said, my own personal top 100 will be dropping here at Prospects 1500, and plenty of comments and notes and mock drafts and fun going on.
Awesome, Shaun. Thanks for carving out some of your time here on a busy weekend. Let's get back to watching some college ball, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.
That'll do it for this episode. We'll catch you guys next time on Futures Focus, a Prospects 1500 podcast.